Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. We're doing something a bit different today. We're doing covering a life story. And I'd like you all to welcome Paul Harris.
Uh,
Say hi to everybody. So yeah, we've got your Instagram here as well. So do you want to just tell us a bit about you, Paul?
well, I'm Paul Harris. My Instagram is Paul Sober Harris, and all I do now um, is dedicate all my time to helping those out there with alcohol issues, addiction issues with alcohol, basically. And I just, I do it through Instagram. I've got my own mentoring business. I just try and keep people from going back to the drink, basically.
And how long have you been sober for, Paul?
I'll be sober 12 years on
Wow,
the
that's incredible.
May the 18th, 2014 was my last drink when I went
Wow.
into rehab. Now it weren't like a big institution. It was a home rehab. Back in them days, they used to come out to your house and blood tests, breathalyzers, medication. It was pretty full on for 30 days, but it had to happen because I was nearly dead twice, as they say.
Wow. So before
Mm.
we get into the recovery side of
Yeah, yeah,
things, I wanted to ask you a question of how you got to become so bad with the alcohol, how it took over your life. And we'll
yeah.
just start off maybe with like a hard hitting story,
Hmm.
something that really was probably one of the biggest wake up calls for you.
Yeah. Well, there's so many stories. I'll be honest with you. Now, my drinking, I was drinking back in the early days. 12, 13, 14. My mother was an alcoholic. Okay, but we had a good life. We had a good life, let's say. Drink ran in the family. My mother was an alcoholic for all of her life. She died an alcoholic, basically. So that, as a young age, had an effect on me. But it was just pretty normal drinking, in my teens, into my 20s, just rock and roll, the club scene, all that palaver. But for me, the alcohol, I took a lot of drugs, but the alcohol is what really got hold of me. And throughout my 20s, I didn't really realise how much it had me. But it did. And I got to my 30s and I started drinking more and more and more. Morning drinking started to come into it. I was in the steel industry. I was at the height of my profession, but the pressures in that game was getting pretty unbearable. And to get a deal, to get the big job, it was always revolved around drinking. So that had a
Yeah.
massive impact on me. Then, I mean, to cut a long story short, mid 30s is when it really, really, really got a hold of me. I mean, I was waking up on a morning, shaking like mad. It got to the point when I had a bottle of vodka next to the bed. Okay, to
Yeah.
literally get out of bed to see the day through. Okay, that's how it really started to get bad. But I ignored it. I carried on. I just kept on going. And to me, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. But it gradually built to a bottle of vodka in the morning, to a bottle of vodka at dinner time. Yeah. Then to the pub at dinner time for a couple of pints. Then straight to the pub after work for 5 or 6 pints. Then straight to the corner shop for 6, 8 cans. Okay. And to me, that was okay. That was okay. But that went on for a long time. A long time. It all came to a head when I turned up at work drunk in the company car. Yeah. And I got suspended, sent me away. And basically that's when that's when it hit me that I
Mm.
could not carry on. Okay. But
Mm.
prior to that, I'd been to hospital twice. Yeah, been to hospital twice. Um, Second time was very bad. It nearly finished me off that second time, but even that didn't convince me to stop drinking. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, just a quick story. One morning, I was that desperate that desperate because the alcohol had just consumed me. This wasn't drinking to have fun anymore. This was drinking to survive. Yeah. And one morning, because I used to plan my drinks out all the time, yeah, as an addict. But one morning I'd slipped up. I had no drink in the house. So what did I do? I went and drank aftershave
Oh
just
wow. Oh
to
wow.
initially, yeah, to initially, because I know there's alcohol in aftershave.
Yeah,
Did it do
yeah,
the trick? Well, what it did, it psychologically stopped me from shaking. I was shaking that violently
yeah.
that morning.
Mm.
It stopped me from shaking that badly that it, it gave me a bit of time just to nip round to the shop to get a bottle of vodka, then to come back to the house. So a
Wow.
few instances there where enough's enough. And that's a big motto that I use in my work now. You've got to find out when your enough is enough. And you don't have to be what I was. You can back in the drinking at the first sign of any issue. But I
Yeah.
pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. So there you go. There's a few examples of what's what.
So, I mean, alcohol, you got to the point where you needed to have it to function,
Yeah. Yeah.
just
I
to
was
get through the
yeah.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was,
Mm.
as the doctor says, I was ethanol dependence, which is a good term of saying you're an alcoholic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because I actually remember the scene in Absolutely Fabulous where they
oh,
drink the
yeah,
perfume.
yeah,
It's almost a comedy sketch, isn't it? But
yeah.
I mean, it's
It's
true
comedy sketches, right? But
life
it's
for
very true,
some.
very true,
Um,
very, very serious.
So, I mean, how did you get to that point where it was a bottle of vodka a day? Because I think that it's not going to happen overnight, is it? It's going to be a
No,
gradual thing.
no, it was.
But what was the type of behaviour that that came from that? How were you behaving on the drink?
My behaviour on the drink was getting worse and
Oh,
worse.
can you hear
Okay,
me?
now I can hear you. Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah,
You hear me? Okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So my behaviour on the drink was getting worse and worse. Okay, I was getting more and more down, a bit more and more depressed, and it was just getting more and more out of hand. And the thing is, with alcohol addiction, it's a sneaky little thing. It just creeps up on you, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And you don't realise how bad you've got it until you're in the clutches of it, until you're properly, well and truly in the clutches of it. And and that's it. And that's when it can be too late for some. Some don't come back from that. All right.
Mm,
It's very, very sneaky. And because it's legal, because you can get it off the shelf, you can drink it all day long, go to the shop, it's not
mm,
really frowned upon. Yeah. If I
mm,
was any other drug, it's a different situation.
yeah.
But alcohol, very easily edible. And I was getting more and more depressed, more and more consumed into it, more and more tired. My face, my features, everything was just getting going downhill. But I'm still
Mm,
in the professional game here. You know, I'm
yeah.
still seeing customers, but even my bosses were saying to me at some point, "What's up with you? What's up with your face?" And we just laughed it off. But
Yeah.
it was gradually rotting me from the inside out. I weren't eating, and
Mm,
and I wasn't the person that I should have been, basically.
yeah. Well, this is the thing. So actually, my dad's an alcoholic, something that probably a
Right.
lot of people don't know about. And was a bit of a big drinker from when I was a child, but it got progressively worse once
Yeah.
I'd left home,
Yeah.
and it got to the point actually where something happened with my mum. He went to prison, and
Right.
he ended up in a hostel, and he's now got alcohol induced dementia, so he
Yeah.
doesn't know
Yeah.
people, and he doesn't want to stop. I mean, that there is no kind of um
No.
I mean, I've tried, we've all
No. No.
tried, but it's gone too far now, and there is a
Yeah.
point with a lot of addiction where
Yeah.
your brain snaps
Yeah.
and it's gone. I mean, were you ever in that process of where that could have happened
Yeah. I
to
was.
you?
I
You
was.
know,
I
were
was.
you getting psychosis from drinking?
Oh, yeah. I was hallucinating and everything at one point. Yeah.
Mm,
But yeah, I was. let's say one of the lucky ones, because after my second hospital visit, when the
Yeah.
doctor turned around to me and says, "If you don't stop drinking soon, you will die. You will die."
Mm,
You know,
mm,
my liver was shot to hell. I
yeah.
was borderline cirrhosis, and something clicked in me round about that time to pull myself back. Now,
Yeah.
if I didn't, I know for a fact I won't be here today. They
Yeah.
said to me, if I carried on 2 or 3 months on, I would have been in a lot of trouble. And you know, you mentioned your dad there. My mother was exactly the same as that, and it got to a point where there were no coming back. There were no coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's part of them. It's just part of them now, and
Yeah.
you could just see they weren't going to come back. And so, yeah, I get that. And I was very, very, very close to that point. But I've
Mm,
managed, you know, with the strength in me, I've found that courage to get back.
mm.
And all I do now is that you don't have to get to that stage. You can spot the signs earlier, get it
The,
out of the
the
way.
the thing with it is if you want to have to want to stop, you have to want to.
Oh, you do.
That is
Oh, you
part
do.
of it, really. It
Yeah,
doesn't you can know really deep down how much it's destroying your life, but
yeah.
if you're not ready to stop, then you're just
No,
going to carry on.
no.
And drink is something you can just continuously go into an oblivion with, and there is no night or day. I mean, by the sounds of it, you were functioning.
Yeah,
But with my dad, there was no functioning in the end.
no.
It was just
My
no
mum was saying,
eating,
yeah,
yeah, just whiskey and sleep
yeah.
and up and
But
you know,
but
throwing up on himself.
that's where the trick. That's the trickster it can be. People think if you're not at that point that you're not an alcoholic, you don't have an issue. Yeah, they let that
Yeah,
kind of thing fool them. You know, you can be well on your way to that kind of, you know, point in
yeah.
your life when
Oh,
you
it's
can't function, when you can't do anything, because
yeah,
you're all at that point and you can get to that point. And whilst I was functioning, it was getting less and less. You know, I had to drink to
mm,
function. Yeah,
yeah,
that was the thing. Without the drink, I
yeah,
was a wreck, complete wreck. And
yeah,
that's how bad it got for me. And there's lots out there who think because they're functioning, they're going to work, they're this, that, and other. Yeah,
mm,
because they've got
mm,
something in them. I
yeah,
wasn't sober for years. I might have looked sober, but I weren't sober
yeah.
because I had to have a taste of it or a sip of it or something at some points of the day to keep me level headed. Yeah.
Yeah, and some people are very good at hiding it, and some people are
Oh
not
yeah.
so much. So it
Yeah.
just depends on how much you want to keep it going. But
Yeah.
what is this worst thing you could say that you've done whilst you were intoxicated?
The worst thing I've done. Well, I mean, there's certain things I'll probably take to the grave with me. Yeah. But I've been arrested, smashing houses up, Christmas Day, Christmas trees going flying. You know, the list is endless. List is endless. You know, I've soiled myself. I've done the worst of the worst, basically. Yeah,
Mm,
and I'll give
mm,
you a few examples there. Got done for drink driving twice. Yeah,
mm,
first time round, I smashed a car up. Um, Second time round, I was done for being in charge. I had the car keys on me, but I didn't learn my lesson then. But that was a near custodial sentence because it was second time. But I had a magic solicitor who saw a loophole. Anyway, um, so you know, there's umpteen of things. And the aftershave has got to be one of the most
yeah,
desperate times.
yeah, yeah,
That is desperate. That is a
mm,
desperate time to stop my body from shaking like a leaf. I thought I was going to die that day. You know, I really
yeah,
thought I was going to die that day, and but because I had the aftershave, it just stopped me shaking for that little
yeah.
bit.
It
It,
levels you out. I
it
mean,
took
what? Go on, sorry. Come on.
no, so it took the edge off. Just and
Mm,
I don't think it. I think it was psychological. It was
yeah.
in my head. It was in my head, and it just stopped me from being like that. And so I just went round to the shop, got the real McCoy, came back, and I was in hospital the week after that. I think something like that. You know what I mean?
Did it not burn your stomach when you were
Yeah,
drinking? Yeah, it must have, like, because it's such an
on my
acidic
throat,
thing to drink. Yeah, yeah.
on
I
my
mean,
throat.
alcohol on its own is so
Yeah.
acidic.
Yeah, I
Um,
couldn't eat.
but
I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat some days. I tried to, but it was that sore, that
yeah,
raw down
yeah,
there. I mean, we're talking very painful here. But as
yeah.
time goes on, when you're doing more of it, your body gets used to it. Your throat gets used to it. But it's just a mask. That's just a mask.
And what people don't seem to realize is this level of alcoholism is when you withdraw, it's dangerous. So you actually can't just come straight off of alcohol. You need to it needs to be in stages. And
Yeah,
what happened to my dad is he would go into hospital a lot, and he would be hallucinating,
yeah,
and you'd have to be put on sort of drips and what have you, and to
yeah,
kind of wean you off of that.
yeah, yeah.
Did that happen with you, and what kind of things did you hallucinate at the time?
But twice I was in hospital because of that. I tried to just stop. Yeah, but
Yeah,
my body just went into shock. Yeah,
yeah,
and I was seeing the clowns and circuses and what have you outside my back window some days. You know what I mean? Because I was just away with the fairies, completely away with the
mm,
fairies. But apart from hallucinations, it was the the withdrawal, the withdrawal that I
mm,
was feeling from just trying not to drink was painful to say the least.
yeah,
And when I get clients on now, we have to go through all that. I have to make a decision whether, listen, it's not me that you need a hospital. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll be there. I'll
mm,
be there for when you come out, right? You've detoxed, and let's keep you sober. 'Cause that's what it's all about. Go through that and staying sober.
yeah, yeah. And people don't tend to, it's almost, yeah, and it's very similar to the withdrawing is very similar to that of being on the brown stuff as well,
Yes,
because your body
yeah,
physically becomes
yeah,
addicted, and
it
you
does.
wouldn't really think of that with alcohol, but it is very
It's
dangerous.
lethal.
Uh,
Alcohol is
it
one of
can
the
be very
leading.
dangerous.
It's
Um,
one of the biggest killers. Of all the
yeah,
the addiction things out there. Alcohol is one of the biggest ones out there, but because it's legal, it's tough. It's tough to keep on. But things are changing. Things are changing. The younger generation is coming through and getting more wiser to it. It's different to when back in the 90s, 20, 30 years ago when I was drinking. It's different. People seem more wise with it. You can tell as well with the alcohol-free industry, that's just booming. It was never like that back in my day, but now
no.
it is booming. It's booming.
Yeah, I think we've got more, more health conscious now. I mean, I don't think I was very health conscious growing up at all, but
No, no, no.
this newer generation definitely are, and we've got access to really good information now, and we can
Yeah,
make good choices about what we put in our bodies, and we're
yeah,
more
that's it.
we
And
have a, yeah,
the younger generation seem to be clued up with that. It's just a different thing. I mean, I got friends who are in this, who are 10 years older than me, and they are just doing exactly the same thing what they did. It's a routine. It has to be done.
yeah,
They do exactly the
yeah,
same thing. Um, some of them, they have the drink issues, but they cannot, and they will not stop,
mm.
because that's just them. It's built into them. And they have their issues through the drink.
We do have a drinking culture, especially working men. I feel
Yeah.
like that is something that it's
Yeah.
almost that's your release at the weekends, and
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
people. But I find that with drink that it slows you down. Really, it stops you
Yeah.
achieving your goals.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that we have to somehow learn how to wind down without
Yeah.
thinking of using something to get out of your own head, but that's
Exactly.
that's that's a different kind of method, and there's a structure to it.
There is.
So have you got any stories of relationships and how they might have broken down over the years through your alcoholism?
Well, relationship with work straight away.
Yeah,
Yeah, I lost
yeah,
my job through it, which is such a shame. I was in that industry for 20 plus years, and I know I could have been at the top, even further top of the game, but my drinking
yeah,
just interfered with that. Yeah,
mm,
it nearly ruined me. my marriage, but bless her cotton socks, she stuck with me. Ultimatums, I had to, excuse me, I had to go for help that second hospital trip.
Mm.
Without, if I had done that, everything would have just gone, just really gone south. I would have killed myself drinking, no two ways about it. But it put a strain on a lot of things, just family members, wife, work, and it does that. That's what alcohol does. When you're zoned in on just getting your next drink, that's all you're thinking about. Everything else takes a backseat, and it has
Yeah.
such a knock-on effect with
Yeah.
friends, families, everything,
Mm.
everything, everything suffers. It's a ripple effect, and there was so much going on there, which it just. But I was blind to it. I couldn't see what it
Mm.
was doing to me, to
Yeah.
friends. People used to come round to the house saying, "Paul, what's going on?" And everything was just. It was just mad, absolutely mad. And and this is why I do what I do, to make people just try and spot the signs early on.
So what are the early signs? Just before we get into the early signs, Casimir, I agree with you. I think that you can have an addictive personality and take things into excess. It really just depends on who you are and how
Yeah,
you enjoy it.
yeah,
But there is a point in life where I think some people they start off with all good intentions,
yeah,
and it just becomes this slippery slope because you use it
yeah,
for
yeah,
being upset, for
yeah,
being happy, for
yeah,
any kind of occasion or
yeah.
any substance for that matter, and
That's it. That's
it
it.
can start to just become part of your life all the time, and without you really realizing it. It's a bit like when you're overeating and you get big.
Yeah.
You don't see it straight away
No.
because it's something that just creeps up on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So that's my analogy for it. But yeah,
Absolutely that.
what are the signs, Paul, for
Oh, there's hundreds, but you got to spot the signs. You got to spot the signs and early signs, and which I thought was there's nothing wrong with that. But
yeah,
if you're planning to go to that pub straight after work, yeah, that can be an issue. Okay,
yeah,
if it's causing troubles within your family, yeah, because all you want to do is get to the pub, you don't have to be drinking a bottle of whiskey on the park bench. But if it's causing issues because you're planning it round drinking, they're early signs as well. Okay, that's
yeah,
even before we got into the nitty gritty alcohol dependence. Yeah, but if
yeah,
they're signs that alcohol is taking over the situation. But when
mm,
it comes to addiction,
mm,
if you're thinking about that drink every day, if you're thinking about and you're looking at that clock to get a drink down you, that's a sign. You've
yeah,
got to appreciate that. You've got to spot
yeah,
the signs like that. Them early signs there. I was exactly the same. I was doing it, but you know, to us in them days, it felt it's just normal, normal. But they are the signs sometimes where you've got to stop and
mm,
think, why am I drinking? Why am I drinking? Just ask yourself the question. You, you know, people drink to enjoy themselves. People drink to cope. People drink to, and there's so many mixed reasons why people are drinking. But
yeah,
there's some reasons that people drink, and they're the wrong reasons. Drink to be happy. Drink to have courage. Drink to this. Drink to do that. I get it. I was there. I had to have a drink to do this and do that, do that. But that became a habit, and that took
yeah,
over, and that made
mm,
me an
mm,
active alcohol addiction. And all I try to
yeah,
say now, I do all them things that I did with a drink and more without the drink
mm,
now. I have a good life, and I just people have to just see and spot it as early as possible. You got to see and ask yourself, why am I drinking? If you don't be drinking because you're sad, because it'll make you sadder. It's a
it
depressant.
does,
It's a
unfortunately,
depressant.
yeah. I could definitely have a good cry if I have too much wine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
Ah,
that saying, wine o'clock. I've had
yeah,
clients who've I've got on board, and that's where it all started. The wine o'clock. The wine o'clock turned out
yeah,
one glass at tea time.
yeah,
Within
yeah.
6 months of having two bottles.
And you mentioned that you were drinking heavily, obviously with a bottle of vodka a day, but you did mention
Got to
also
two.
that you would. Oh, two. Oh, wow, up to
Yeah.
two. That's insane, right?
And
So you did mention.
and 6 cans of lager and 6 pints.
Oh, wow. Oh my God, that's crazy. Did
I
you
was,
and whilst you were doing that, I'm guessing you lost a lot of weight because this is what
yeah,
happened to my dad. He lost a hell
yeah,
of a lot of weight because he wasn't
yeah,
eating.
yeah,
But you did also mention that you were doing some other things with that. Was that
yes,
also entwined at the same time? You can use the words white. I'm guessing
yeah.
it's white.
I
That
know you're
goes
saying,
hand
yeah.
in hand. Uh,
I I was purely alcohol driven. Okay,
yeah,
but obviously at the weekend when that always came first, then that came in afterwards. Okay,
yeah,
I have clients that come to me now saying they have a problem with the other stuff, and I
yes,
always ask them what comes first, the drink or that.
yeah,
9 times out of
yeah,
10, they all say to me, "Oh no, it's drink." As soon as I have a
yeah,
drink, I say, "Right, so what we need to do first is crack the drinking. Because without the
yes,
drinking, you're not going to do that." If they,
yes.
and yeah, we were heavily into all that, heavily into all that.
Mm.
But I never got hooked on it. Let's
That
say,
wasn't
no, no,
that wasn't your big thing, yeah. Because some
no,
people have a
no.
taste for one thing in
Yeah,
particular,
that's
and
it.
I am
That's
actually
it.
going to have someone who was a white addict on.
Yeah,
She's you probably seen her on Instagram. She's quite big on Instagram. Coley Chanel. I think I'll send you the link
yeah.
after. But
I think I know. I think yeah, I
yeah,
think I know. Yes, I
it's
think I do know. Man.
yeah. So it's interesting what your brain likes and what it doesn't
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was your go-to. And what would you say the culture was like for you at the time? Was it kind of just the social scene just to be drinking everybody? Because I know in the labouring world and the you paint decorators, they all like to have a good drink, right?
Yeah,
And you was in the steel industry.
yeah. But
Yes.
when my addiction really took hold, I was in the steel industry, and it was just, in the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s. That's it, the drink culture was just that what it was. That's what it was. We used to go out at dinner time and have 5 or 6 pints, then go back to the office. It was just the norm. It was just a
Mm,
normal thing to do. And a
mm,
deal to be done, and a dinner here to be done, a function here to be done. I used to go to Denmark and Copenhagen, what have you, on business trips and what have you, and they were just
mm,
absolutely drink fueled. That was the culture. Steel industry back in the day was just drink, drink, drink. Yeah, and quite a few alcoholics were produced out of that
mm.
industry. And but yeah. But as time went on, all that in some areas quietens down. But the alcohol addiction that you've got, that doesn't. That all starts to get even worse and worse and worse.
So and yeah, I mean, look, I come from an Irish family, so they're all carpenters and
Yeah, yeah,
painters and
yeah,
all manual labour, really.
yeah.
So this was very much the social scene at the time where they would literally go to the pub in the morning and
Yes,
it was just normal.
yeah,
And my granddad died of cirrhosis of the liver as well,
yeah,
Irish granddad.
yeah.
And so alcoholism runs in the family.
Uh,
It is known to
I
be
can imagine.
hereditary.
I can imagine.
But I do think that there's a shift in society,
There
like
is
you said before, where
definitely.
it just doesn't, it's not the same, but it was very prominent back then. And
It
it was
was.
almost like if you didn't do it, you were weird.
Yeah,
If you didn't
definitely,
have a drink, it was odd, you
definitely,
know.
definitely. Yeah,
And
yeah. Yeah, you were frowned upon. You
yeah,
were no, that it was wrong. I mean, you got to think going back to the 1800s, 1700s, the
mm,
death toll through cirrhosis of the liver and all based on alcohol. The hundreds and thousands of people that died through alcohol consumption, because
yeah,
that's all it was. That's all it was. And I know in the Irish background and what have you, it's really, it's
yeah,
prominent, very prominent
mm,
with them boys. But even so, still chaining a little bit. I mean, Guinness Zero is a huge thing now. Huge.
Yeah, yeah. In fact,
Guinness, about,
I was up in Covent Garden and I walked past the Guinness headquarters. Well, I'm not. I don't
yeah,
think it's the headquarters. It's not because I think that's in Ireland. But it was a
yeah,
shop that's
yeah.
dedicated to Guinness, and it's
Oh, yeah.
kind of like, I don't know, like a
Huge.
spin-off version. I've never been
It's
in it. It
huge.
looked quite interesting.
They've had
I
to build
hate
new.
Guinness.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I never ever touch Guinness. It repulsed me. I mean,
Yeah.
I suppose if that morning, if there was a can of Guinness there rather than aftershave, I would have probably had a can of Guinness. But however, apart from that, I would never touch Guinness. But they're building new warehouses now for the Zero, because
Oh, are
it's about,
they?
yeah, it's
Oh,
about on par of sales with the real McCoy. You know what I mean? Because even your hardened drinkers sometimes know they have to just slow it down in their own head, and they are happy enough to take a Zero Guinness on that bar because it looks the real deal, and they will go in and do that, and they will get up. You know what I mean? And it works. It works for them.
it's very odd to me because there's nothing that appeals to me about 0% alcohol because I just
Never
think
did me.
it takes
Never did
no.
me.
Well,
Never did
no.
me. And I've got some stories about that as well. I wouldn't touch it in the early days because I fell out of alcohol in a big way. I wouldn't have it. If I went for the meal, this red wine juice that can put on. If that came out, I used to send it away. I fell out of alcohol in a way that I cannot touch it again. I never want to be where I was with it again. And
Mm,
but I do have clients who swear by them. They swear by the alcohol free because they do get that urge sometimes, and they'll go for the Zero whatever, and it'll take that urge off, and they'll be okay. I had a client who was on 10 bottles of high alcohol content cider, went on to alcohol free cider, yeah, started having 10 bottles of them a day instead.
wow.
Now,
Is there a placebo effect involved
there is
there
a
then?
it's again, it's all up there, but I
Yeah,
don't encourage them, but I do say if they help you, then do it.
yeah,
Do it.
yeah,
And it does
yeah.
help a lot. It does help a lot. But there's a lot out there that's too scared to drink them when they're coming out of recovery. I was the same. But I drink them now, no problem. If I want to. If I go to a pub now and I'm with friends or whatever, I have no issue in ordering a coffee while they've got a pint in their
Is
hand. No problem.
Is there any temptation at all? Do you ever feel that there's an urge there?
No,
Because I know we never really fully recover. I don't think it's kind of that you always label yourself as an addict, right? Because
definitely.
I'm guessing you still go to these meetings. Um, but do you ever feel? Is there ever a point where you have a like that kind of the devil
No.
speaks to you? No.
Oh, well, sorry. When it comes to the temptation and when it comes to the devil, the drink devil, which I label it all the time, that works well with clients as well. That that devil, that drink devil, that demon was huge on my shoulder
Yeah.
once upon a time. Okay, and that lasted for some years. Now it's still there, but it's tiny. And I've got nearly
Yeah.
12 years of practice.
Yeah.
I have to say, I haven't relapsed in that time. How? I
Yeah.
don't know. It was just up there that I just couldn't go back to where I was. I think about the hospital bed that I was in, and the doctors round me all scratching heads saying, "Well, if you don't stop soon, he will die."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but that demon will always be there. But we learn to live with it, and we learn to tell it to do one, back off, and we just laugh at it now. And that's what I teach my clients as time goes on. That demon gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's not as loud, not as loud. But the only way to get it smaller and less noisy is to stay sober. Because the minute you drink, that demon is like that the day after. Back up there. Huge, massive. You know what I mean?
Emma says, "Well done, Paul," and so does
Thank
Kazabeth. So
you.
you've got lots of supporters in the side chat.
Thank you very much.
I
Follow me
I
on
was
Instagram.
Yeah, they'll follow you. I'm sure they will. They're on Instagram. I'm sure they'll follow
Good, good,
you.
good.
Are you on TikTok? Because that would be good to
Yeah,
go on there as well.
I do TikTok as well. That's getting a
Okay.
bit better for me. But my main
Well,
platform
send
is
me the link
Instagram.
for that, and I'll put that in the
Yeah,
description box as well. So if you can you relay any stories that any of I know it's maybe when you've been to an AA meeting and anybody's told a really horrific story about their time intoxicated, because it just fascinates me what we're capable of doing when we're
yeah.
in this state of mind.
Well, there's certain stories that I've been told, and it gets pretty serious. It gets pretty serious, and some of these people in these meetings. I mean, I used to do AA for at first, but I don't do them anymore because
Mm,
AA is for it's for people. If it suits them, it suits them. But I learned to manage it with my own mind skill and what have you. But so, some of the stories I got told, it's the suicide attempts. That's
yeah. Mm,
that's you know, 'cause I've lost people to suicide. All right,
yeah.
and I've been close to it as well. I planned it all at once, and
Yeah.
it was all through the alcohol. Okay,
Yeah.
not everybody is like that, but some of the stories I've been told, what they've done, it's all related to the alcohol. Okay,
Yes.
and it got them down, it depressed them, and they can't get themselves back, and they're drinking, to try and cheer themselves up. And it's a well-known study fact, and this is one thing I do push that. I think it's between 20 and 40% of all suicides do have, the factor of alcohol.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's in
Wow.
the system.
Yeah.
It's in the system. But I will never take it away from people who have natural mental health issues. They don't touch a drop.
Oh, of course.
Okay, but
Yeah.
and
It
they're
doesn't
the kind of
help,
stories.
does it?
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't, and
No.
that's why we do what we do out there to try and get people not to rely, if they're feeling down, if they're going through a tough time, do not, under any circumstances, think about drinking. I
Mm,
don't advise not to. I've got to tell people, do not. You can't, because that will,
mm.
make your things worse. And if you can't help but drink, then you've got an addiction issue. And it's, yeah, so they're the worst stories I've been told. And, attacks on people that they love, attacks on, family and their own kids. I could go on, I could go on. I don't really want to go on too much about it, but,
Yeah.
and some of the things that I've done all through, what alcohol does. It's a potent drug. It's a potent drug, mind altering drug that if it didn't exist today, yeah, and got invented tomorrow, yeah, it'd be banned within whatever. But it's a
Yeah.
multi-billion-pound industry now. It'll never change, which is fine. It's fine. I won't preach. How can I? But we can turn around and say, crack on, enjoy it. But
Mm.
people like me can't. We just can't drink. We can't because we can. I can't have one or two. Moderation is not a word in our
It's not.
vocab. Too many.
Yes. Yes.
Too many people try to moderate,
Yeah.
and they might do for so many weeks, months. I tried it for months. I thought, I cracked this. One day, everything went wrong, and I just went nuts because I left that gate open, left that door open. The taste,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
brain. If you want away from it, you never want to go back to that dark place again and do the stupid, horrible things that you've done in the past. You've got to cut it out and
Mm.
cut it out for good. Do not kid yourself when it comes to moderation. Too many have tried that, and I'm very, very strict on that. People come to me and say, "Can you help me control my drinking?" No, I can't because you
Yeah.
know.
You've either got an offer on button and that's it
Well,
sometimes.
that's it. I mean, I have helped people to cut down, but with the ultimate goal of stopping for good. Yeah,
Yeah.
because if you don't, and you've had bad experiences on alcohol, and you've done silly things, and you continuously do that, then you've got to draw the line. Enough is enough. And there's a stigma, there's a shame behind it all. Not anymore. Not, there used to
Yeah.
be. It's not as bad now, but that's why I push that. No, it's cool. It's cool to be sober. It's cool to. It's cool to. I've had that issue, and you've turned around, stuck twos up to it, and said, "Nah." not me. That's
we're a
the
little bit
coolest thing.
better. Our society is a little bit better now at talking about our feelings, and
Yeah, definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
Whereas before it was just not a done thing to do
Yeah,
at all. So
yeah,
I'm kind of glad we're all healing in a little bit, a bit by bit. But I
yeah,
wanted to just say you to plug what you're doing now. So how you're
yeah,
helping people, how they people can reach you on your page, and
yeah.
what you do for people. You mentor
I'm a
and help
mentor.
people. Yeah. Okay.
I strictly put myself down as a mentor. I won't say coach because coach stroke mentor are two separate things. I'm a mentor. Okay, I haven't gone to school. I haven't gone to university to learn all this. I haven't got a degree in that. And my business says what's it in? I'm Paul Sorber Harris, expert by experience. Okay, and a lot of people just want to talk to somebody who's been through it, been there. Yeah, and years ago, it all started on Instagram. People coming to me and asking me, and then, you know, people say, "Why do you do this for a living?" Kind of thing. Blah 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 blah. So that's what I did. And so now clients get in touch with me to say they're worried about the drinking. They need some hard hitting facts and straight talking, and that's what we do. We can
Yeah.
meet up. I do video calls, phone calls, texting. I have different packages where it can be full on. I even have a home mini rehab thing where they have breathalyzers and we do it together over the phone. You know what I mean? Just to make sure that the blowing that's down to the ones who are deadly, really serious that it can't go
Yeah.
on. Everything depends on it. So I do all sorts, and like I have my own website. I've no doubt you'll put that up for me.
Yeah, no, everything's there, and your Instagram's there, so people can follow you. And if
Yeah,
anyone feels like they want to
it's
talk and
it's
reach
all
out,
there. It's all there, and it works well. AA works well for a lot of people, but it doesn't for other people. And to do it on the NHS, which some of these other organisations, the waiting list is just so long, so
yeah,
long. And I've known people waiting, and they've relapsed many times in that time. So
yeah,
I try to be more of a quick fix, and let's get down to it as soon as it works. It has worked. It's proven it's worked, and I just want to get the message out there even more. So
and you're living proof that it can be done, and you can change your life and go into a different direction. I think we all know somebody that suffers from something
yeah,
like this, whether it's
yeah,
us or somebody else.
yeah.
Um,
I like to put it down that I'm living proof that you can pull yourself back. If I can do it, I believe
yes,
everybody has that inner strength deep down to pull themselves back. Okay, but you've got to
mm,
want to. The
yes,
problem
you
is,
do. Yeah,
if you come to me only 99% certain that you want to stop, and I can tell that with the first consultation, I have a 20-minute consultation with them, and I can tell in their tone if they're ready to stop. I can tell if they're
yeah,
desperate enough to stop. But I can also tell them who are like, "Yeah, well, maybe, in time I might be okay." As soon as they start talking like that, no, no, you've got to be 100% certain. And if you are, you have that strength inside to pull yourself back and then go down the route that I did, all the tricks of the trades and all the mind tricks you can do for yourself and to get you into that position and fool yourself and trick yourself and fast forward. Well, if I have that drink now, how am I going to feel in a couple of days, and blah, blah, blah. We do that constantly on a daily basis. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's brainwashing. We're just rewiring the brain. And
yeah.
that kind of straight talking has worked. It's proven. Everybody can go and have a look at my reviews. It's all on there. But it works. It does work.
Yes,
It's not for
it
everybody.
does.
It's
Well,
not for everybody.
thank you for helping people. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and
And
I will, I'll get everybody. Hopefully, everybody will follow you and look at what you're doing.
I
But
have
thank you for sharing your story.
no
I just
problem.
want to say thank you as well to the new member, Kat, and guys. Tomorrow. I have a live with um, an ex prison officer called Kevin Graham. Really interesting story. Oh, he used to work in a women's prison, so that'll be very interesting. But thank you, Paul. Everybody in the side chat says thank you,
Thank you. Thank you for
and
coming on. Thank you for coming in, guys.
I'm sure they will follow you over there.
I hope so. Well,
And good luck.
I'm here.
Good luck with it all, and well done.
Thanks. Thank you very much. You take care of yourself. Keep up
You
the good
too.
work. I love it.
Take care. Thank you for joining us. Take care. Bye. Bye. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.